I saw something in the press release that went out about the game this weekend and the last couple of weeks. You said you've learned a lot about yourselves in that kind of period of time. I mean, what are the key things that you've learned, shall we say, in that period of time?
I think first and foremost, like the more exposures these players can get at playing the game, for long periods of high intensity ball and play, the more it tests their skill set, it tests their robustness, their understanding around the game, and you can't really, I suppose, develop those parts of your game unless you're actually living them. And I think we're seeing, particularly against England last week, the standard is very high, and our players understand, look, we need to do this in order to get up that ladder a little bit more. There's just a few areas that the players have realized that they need to brush up on, and it also, you got to look at your daily training environment and how you're maximizing the minutes away from the game as well. So I think this group are obviously brilliant to coach. They're fantastic people, but at the same time, like I'm sure a lot of the fans are disappointed seeing the results. I mean, I can't tell you, being in the dressing room with those girls afterwards, they feel it more than anybody. And like, it's disappointing, and obviously you want to make sure that you can put on better performances and win more, and we can only do that by continuing on what we're doing, which is working hard to make things better. And we're seeing they're developing every game. They've definitely got guts, which I think everybody who'd follow the team likes. But it's now about the technical and tactical side of the game that we really want to focus in on this weekend and put on I suppose, a more fluid performance, and hopefully we can show all the hard work come to fruition.
Did the results last week and the work that you've put in so far, did that kind of reinforce the fact that the mental side of the game is quite strong, needs to be quite strong also, that you can't just allow you don't kind of dwell on the adversity of a result last week against what is admittedly a top quality team like England?
Yeah, but like, let's be honest, we need to improve so much in so many areas. But if you look at the stats for the top 5 rounds and the most dominant hits of all players playing the Six Nations, Ireland are ranked 1, 2, and 3. You're the first, second, and third player in that order, and then Nick Friday, I think, is sixth. You have Dorothy Wall, you have Niamh Jones, and Adele McMahon in there. I mean, to have 4 players in the top 6 out of the entire Six Nations for dominant tackles. Sometimes, like when you're building a team, we've all seen it, being involved in sport. We have a team and you wonder, how do they win when they don't necessarily have the skill set of others? And you look at other teams that have everything that you want and they don't win. And I think one of the biggest components you can have as a team is that ability to have your passion and have an emotional connection to what you're supporting. And that's what they have in spades. And that's why I'm proud as a coach. But then to be more successful in your wins, it's also about your skill set. It's about your technical understanding and execution. It's about game moments and how you can cope under pressure. That's how you eventually win more. But to have that passion is massive, and to have that emotional connection is really important, because I think by having that, you have a really good chance of developing, and hopefully we can just continue to improve our execution and our understanding of the game. And I think then we've got a pretty good mixture that we can hopefully be more competitive.
Just a final question for me, if you don't mind, in terms of the game against Scotland this week, how important would it be that you finish off the campaign with a victory, in terms of what you've achieved so far?
It's funny, because I've been perceived as somebody who doesn't talk about results. Like, the thing is, like, just to reiterate, is you don't focus on the results because they're a byproduct of your process and how well you're working away from the game. So you don't focus on that. They happen as a result of your process. I just hope our process is good this week, and as a result, then we want to get a win against a good Scottish side that beat us the last time we played. They're in the World Cup ahead of us. So our players have a point to prove, and it's another great challenge for them. But we're not focusing on the result. We're focusing on making sure that all those small details in the game, those 27 seconds from whistle to whistle on average, that they're filled with good actions. And we want to be better. We have to be better. And we have a group of players who know that more than anybody, and just their reaction to the weekend is just phenomenal. You'd be really proud of it. They're working so hard and they're doing their best. That's all we can ask for. So let's just hope that this is a weekend where things click and they can show, the other side of the ball, not just the bravery, not just the emotional connection, but also their ability to play rugby and play at a good speed and put on hopefully a really good show for supporters. That's what we all want.
Good man. Thanks a million. Enjoy it.
Cheers, Corky.
Hi, Greg. How are things? It's Joe here from Virgin Media. How are you?
Hey, Joe. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
Nice.
I know that it's a tight window you have to work on to improve on things from last week. So what have you been focusing? What's the areas you've been putting focus on in training this week?
So we got together again on Wednesday at the HBC, and we got the bus down to up to Belfast. And like you have tired bodies still. When you have a 6-day turnaround, you got to be very aware of sometimes little is more, because it's about making sure that you're looking after their bodies. They're getting the opportunity to recover. They're getting the opportunity to plan and prepare, and then an opportunity hopefully to execute it during the week in training, and hopefully get your timing right. And we've gone through the first day where we had a little bit of a training session last night, trying to implement our, we have an install session where we have some changes that we're looking to make and areas of focus that we're looking to improve both sides of the ball and around set piece. So we generally present to the players through video, and then have a walkthrough. That's our install. We do everything at pretty low intensity, and that's when you get all your learnings, and that's when you ask all your questions, and you try and have a couple of training sessions where you get the opportunity to rep it under a little bit more pressure. But then you've also got to be aware of you're playing a game on a Saturday, so you don't have hours to work on things. Sometimes you have like singular minutes to improve an area, but that is just the same in international rugby everywhere. So I think it's sometimes about just being smart about how much you're packing into a week, because as coaches, the worst thing we can ever do is overcoach and feel like we need to do more. Those instances, I think you actually need to do less, because we're playing against a really, really good Scotland side who are big and physical and who can move the ball as well. And if we're not on our game this weekend, it's going to be a long day. So we're focusing on making sure that we get our mental preparation right and our physical preparation right.
Yeah, just following on from Scotland, what are the biggest challenges you feel they're going to pose? I know the physicality would be an area of it, but can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, they're dogged. Like if it's tight at all at any stage in the game, if you're into a really strong arm wrestle, they also play with a lot of emotional connection. They definitely have a good DNA that's built around really good core fundamentals, I believe, to compete. And like us, they're trying to develop their game and be a bit more tactically aware about when you play at the back, when you play in the front, when you use the backfield space. They're all areas that every team's trying to improve, but they've got good moxie. So I think you're going to have like a physical game. Defensive pressure will exist, I think, for both teams. And I think it's about just making sure that you're beginning to get on top in those contact areas, but they're excellent in that area. So it's a real challenge for us, and it's a focus that we need to get right.
And finally, just from me, I'm conscious that we mightn't get to speak to you again for a while. So it's been a tough particular week, but it's been a tough 6 months for Irish women's rugby. And it reminded me of, the saying, adversity doesn't build character, it reveals it. Can you speak to a little bit about the insight you can give us in terms of the character of this team and what you've learned about them working with them over the last 3 or 4 months?
God, Jesus, it's a good question. Again, I think, without getting using too many cliches, like it is like a book, and we got the ability to write a chapter whatever way we want to that's going to maybe alter the flow of the book. It goes from, every book has that moment of lull where things are going bad, and then it picks up again, things are going great, and you just hope that you're adding value to what you're trying to build, not just for us, but also for the people that are coming below us. So first and foremost, you want to know, like, what are you playing for, and why are you doing it? And then you need to make sure that you're very clear on how we're trying to play and operate as a team. And that requires, like, not just stuff on the field, but lots of stuff off the field that we require players to be, detailed. And they've just, as I said to you, they've grown so much, and I've learned a lot about their character as a group. I think we're seeing more leadership come through, which is always encouraging for any coach of any team, just to see the players begin to understand things a little bit more and take a bit more responsibility. And that's when you got a group that are giving everything they can to competing, and they understand the learning process. And it's just going to take lots of repetition for us to get to the point where we're really comfortable. And it also takes, a wider group of players that, the RFU are fully aware of, and we're already seeing, lots of young players coming into the senior program. I mean, at the moment, nominated in the squad of 27 this weekend, not in the 23, is Leah Tarpey. who's doing her leaving cert from Tullamore. You know, she's a centre with phenomenal potential. So last week we had Tash Bean in with us as well, who's a young girl who have very good physical attributes, and you know, they're very talented. So they're getting a taste of what it's like to live, I suppose, within the confines of an Irish team and what you need to do from a performance point of view. So hopefully they get a taste of what it's like, and it can hopefully get the next group ready to step in. So I think you're looking at this group. You know, we'll obviously do a full review at the end of Six Nations. There's so many learnings, Joe, to be honest. I don't know where to start, but as a group and what you want as your core being, I suppose, there, I'm really proud of how they stuck to the task.
Thanks a million, Greg. Good luck the weekend.
Thanks, Joe.
Take the last one in the live section.
Yeah, could I go if that's okay?
Fire away.
Thank you, Ryan. Hi, Greg. Aisling here from Off the Ball. How are you?
Hey, Aisling.
Good. There's been a lot of changes, I suppose, due to the sevens, and there's been injuries as well. How tough is it to get results when there has been so many changes?
Yeah, it's funny. It's like the question. It's like it's not a case of how tough it is. You don't think about those things. It's how you use the wording, and like, you know, the word tough shouldn't be in it. It's like how are you preparing to face a team this weekend? It is going to be a difficult challenge, and I think it's about concentrating on making sure that we get better around what we're trying to do with or without the ball. You know, there's lots of learnings on video that we saw after the England game, that the players understand that they need to, you know, do better in certain areas, and you just hope that they continue to develop. And as I said, Scotland's going to be a tough game. We know they've qualified for the Rugby World Cup, as I said earlier on. They have our place, so it's about, you know, getting out there and hopefully finishing this tournament on a high.
And coming into the last game, for Ireland, it's not been straightforward. There's been ups and downs. For you personally, how have you found your first Six Nations as a head coach?
I've loved it. I've loved it. I see Hannah O'Connor laughing at me over there. I've loved it. It's been great. I think there's more pressure than I expected coming into the role. You know, when I saw what it was like before I went away, and you'd have 1,500 people at Ashburn and there'd be very little coverage. It's a bit different now this time round. And you're just getting used to that. And you want your players to get used to that, and it's really exciting to be a part of it. I mean, you know, there's 7,000 people plus expected to be at the Kingspan at the weekend. I mean, it's phenomenal numbers. So I'm just very grateful to be a part of like something that I think is a special time. I know it's tough in lots of people's eyes, but I think the narrative needs to, like, we all know it's tough. So let's not continue to talk about it. Let's look at ways to make it better and enjoy the really good moments that we're seeing in the team. And I understand there's people out there who can't see how we can be anyway happy with losing by 69 points. But if you know the group of players, you know the challenges that they have, you'd be so proud about how they go about their business. Honestly, I mean, you're more than welcome to come in, and it's very inspirational seeing them going about their business. So you just hope that they can, yeah, just kind of show that side of them and make people proud. That's what you always want as a coach. That's first and foremost, that you're giving your players the best opportunity to do well. So, yeah, we'll review afterwards. Yeah, okay, I suppose. It's been good. Yeah.
That's great, Greg. Thanks a lot. Best of luck.
Thank you,
Right,
Ashley.